A very good evening to one and all and welcome to today's event. Our Chief Investment Officer, Mr. Sunil Damania, would be providing his opinion about the buy and hold strategy. Does it work in today's dynamic world, and is this pattern followed by institutional investors? As a retail investor, is it profitable to adopt this strategy or not? Towards the end, we'd also be having a Q&A session where you could simply drop any of your queries required. Over to you, Mr. Sunil.
Thanks a lot, Jason, and very warm welcome all of you. You know, when I started my investment career, I have been informed that अच्छी कंपनी ले लेने का और मजा करने का. And I always used to think, if life is so easy, everyone could have made tons of money from the equity market. Why? Because अच्छी कंपनी का definition क्या होता है? Good quality company, you buy Sensex. And those days when I started, there was only Sensex. There was no Nifty 50. You buy those companies and you continue to hold for a long term, you would make money. And as I started learning more, understanding about the equity market, I realized that I have been misinformed. More and more frustration started coming in. Why? Because invested in the good quality company, remain invested for a long period of time, and either those company which was good at that point of time deteriorated, or even if they've not deteriorated, they did not offer any capital appreciation to me. And I was wondering, where am I going wrong? Because this is what I've been told. This is what the philosophy is, that you buy and hold good quality company. I'm not talking about momentum. And yet it is not making money. Why is that? What's wrong? And then I realized, even the best of the best company will go through a change in the business paradigm, and hence either the business they are into are no longer relevant, or the management is not able to capitalize. I'll give a classical example. So we all get a little fascinated by the Bollywood, isn't it? And there was a company called Ad Labs. Now this company would process almost each and every film. And I distinctly recollect when I met them, there was a movie called Mission Kashmir, if I memory serves me right. Bhoom Ro, Syam Rang, Bhoom Ro. That's a movie where Hrithik Roshan was the hero, and I think the heroine was Preeti Zinta. And during that time I met this, and this Ad Labs was the company which used to process the films actually. Each and every film that you would see would get processed. And what happened? And they used to sell reels also of Kodak, to this one. And then come the digital revelations, and that business no longer remains. So the monopoly business getting out of the business in no time. And that's what happens. And something similar, I met Mr. Torani, Tips Industries at that point of time. And very similar kind of a fortune. So while the Bollywood industries flourish, company like Tips did not flourish. Am I right? So the point I wish to say is that, does buy and hold strategy works? And unfortunately, we don't have that mechanism where I would have asked you people, how many people you believe in a buy and hold strategy. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to give you some live examples today. The word I've used is a myth, and that's a fact of life. If someone comes and tells you that boss, buy and hold strategy follow karo, paisa banega, please challenge that person. Please challenge that person. Why I'm saying those companies where he's losing money. He would not do buy and hold strategy where you are making money. And human tendency is what? Where you have gone right, you are very quick in terms of booking profit. But where you have gone wrong, that company become a buy and hold strategy. And then we become a very long-term investor. And that long wait never ends. I can tell you with a lot of confidence, those who are attending this webinar, many of you would have Yes Bank in the portfolio, Vodafone Idea in the portfolio, Larsen Toubro in the portfolio, Castrol in the portfolio, Suzlon in the portfolio, India Bulls Housing in the portfolio, DHFL, एक कंपनी तो रहा होगा. और those who are little late entered in last 5-6 years, Vakrangee रहा होगा, या फिर 1% beverages रहा होगा, you know, and we continue to hold that company in the portfolio in anticipation, in hope that one day, forget about making money, one day this company will go above my purchase price. And many times that wait become an endless. Is रात की कोई सुबह नहीं. You know, I think I'm in a very little Bollywood mood today. There's a very famous movie said, is रात की सुबह नहीं. I don't know why, but you know, that's a kind of thing happens. So I'm going to give you a live example. If you don't get agree with me, please feel free to challenge my hypothesis or my data point. I would be more than happy to hear from you, to understand your reservations. And if I am wrong, I'm willing to learn from you people. So please feel free, and I'll request Jason, once we open the question answer, please take only those questions where people have a different view than what I am suggesting. So before I begin my webinar, just a small disclaimer that this webinar is only for an education purpose. Whenever you invest in the equity market, it does carry a little higher amount of risk, and past performance should not be considered as an indicator for future performance. Now remember this word, past performance, no indicator for the future performance. And somehow we will buy only those companies which has done extremely well. I'll come to that point a little later in my presentation. So what is buy and hold strategy? Buy and hold strategy is something where you invest in a good quality, and I put good quality in an inverted comma. You buy that company and you remain invested for minimum 10 to 15 years. And then we believe that this strategy will create wealth for all of us. But we don't realize the world has become very, very dynamic. And hence the world has become so dynamic. What was good now may not be good tomorrow, and vice versa. But our human tendency is not willing to accept that. Because we believe, our ego comes, how can I be wrong? And that ego doesn't allow us to take a decision that we should be taking to create wealth for ourselves and our family members. We continue to believe जो चल रहा है वो चलता रहेगा. But life, the reality is that it doesn't work. So typically, if I have to ask you people which company you would like to buy and hold for a long term, most probably you will tell me the company which has done extremely well in last 1 or 2 years. And we call it recency bias. So what we believe, the company that has done extremely well right now, we continue to believe that this company will continue to do very well. And for some reason, if there is a correction on those companies, we try to fool ourselves, ये company चलेगा. We don't want to admit the mistakes. We continue to hold that company and only to see that company will continue to lose money. I can give you a classical example of that is many chemical companies. A lot of you people would have bought chemical companies in anticipation this company will bounce back. Probability is very low it is going to bounce. I will give another classic example. I was in CNBC Bazaar almost 4 or 5 years back, and there was a company called Symphony. And Symphony was a darling of the investors at that point of time. Why? Because the largest player in air cooler and India's keeping in mind the climatic conditions, the demand for air cooler has to go up, isn't it? And that expert, another expert who was there with me on that same show suggested Symphony is a good buy. And when I look at the data point and other things, I said this company was a good buy, no longer a good buy. This company will underperform. The rest is history. So we tend to chase those companies and want to, if I tell you buy Asian Paints, all of you will go and lap it up and they will hold for next 10 years. Why? Because this Asian Paints done extremely well in last 10 years or so. Is it going to do well? I think that's the question that we need to ask. And if you don't know, there is problem. I'll give you a classic example of recency bias. Many of you would have bought Wipro in the year 2000. Why? There was a Y2K related boom and people used to circulate. Had you invested 1,000 rupees or 1 lakh rupees in Wipro, what would have been your worth now? You know, that story, and that you get excited. But what happened afterwards? Did Wipro create that similar kind of wealth which it created from 1990 to 2000, from 2000 to 2010? The answer is no. 2008, Larsen and Toubro. India is going to spend a huge amount on infrastructure. And if that is so, Larsen and Toubro being the most or the largest infra company will get the benefit of that. Did Larsen and Toubro created wealth from 2008 to 2018 or 2022? 2011, ITC, the blue-eyed boy for the investors. Nothing can go wrong with ITC. Demand for ITC is inelastic. Why? People are going to smoke, come what may. But क्या हुआ फिर? 2016, Eicher Motors, Royal Enfield. And those time the story was, instead of buying Eicher Motors, that Royal Enfield bike, had you bought shares of Eicher Motors, today you could have bought Mercedes Benz. क्या हुआ लेकिन अभी Mercedes Benz खरीद पाओगे? 2020 HDFC Bank. You know, when I talk about HDFC Bank, many of you people say, if the Indian economy has to grow, banking has to grow. And if the banking has to grow, HDFC Bank has to grow because it's the largest player in the private sector, from the private sector. But the same logic applied Larsen Toubro also. Did it create the wealth? And I'll show you how HDFC Bank has underperformed. And had you still believe that HDFC Bank is going to be the outperformer, buy and hold strategy will work, it's not going to work. Jot it down. I did one webinar in the month of March, clearly suggesting so. In January 2019, in our old office, one of the leading broker CEO came down to our office. I don't want to name that, but quite a reasonably big. It's not in top 5 or top 10, but reasonably big broker. And they wanted, we were exploring what kind of data we can provide to them. And during our conversation, I just happened to mention, that HDFC doesn't look very, and I bought into another cement company. I don't want to name that because there's again problem. So he said, "Arey Sunil, HDFC se nikal gaya." And I distinctly recollect I sold out 2,100 or something from HDFC. And I see I don't see any potential. And people, how can you get out of HDFC? HDFC is the darling. It will going to create, if people are underpenetrated, the mortgage business itself is underpenetrated. How can you move out of HDFC? It's a company that you should own forever. And I told this gentleman, I don't believe this company is going to create wealth going forward. That's my understanding. Not HDFC Bank, I'm talking about HDFC. I got out of it and I invested in another cement company. Today, HDFC is almost at the same price. While market has gone up, HDFC has not gone up. Kuch 11,000-21,000 ka hi bhav hoga. So what happens? The biggest mistake we do in buy and hold strategy is that we invest in a company at the top of the cycle. Wipro 2000 में ले लिया, ITC Larsen Toubro 2008 में ले लिया, ITC 2011 में ले लिया, Eicher Motors 2016 में ले लिया, and 2020 में HDFC Bank लिया. In thinking, in anticipation, ये कंपनी में तो मैं बाय एंड होल्ड स्ट्रेटेजी करके पैसा डबल कमाऊंगा. शायद ऐसा पैसा बनता नहीं है. The reality is that only 1 out of 200 companies will create wealth in buy and hold. Balance 199 is going to destroy wealth, are going to underperform. Unfortunately, no one knows which that one company that's going to create wealth. If I have to ask you today, which company which will create wealth, 10 years down the line, a lot of you people will give me name of the company which has created wealth now. But will it going to correct? No one knows. If I would have told you in 2012 that Deepak Nitrite and Alkyl Amines is going to create wealth for you by 2022, you would not have believed me. You would have said, अरे HDFC का कोई group company ले लेते हैं. Am I right? और ITC ले लेते हैं, या Larsen Toubro ले लेते हैं, या Yes Bank ले लेते हैं. But no one bought it. And today, if I ask you, you may say Deepak Nitrite and Alkyl Amines. Why? Because उन्होंने recency bias, which I was talking about. Of course, we can take a lot of credit that Markets Mojo did identify Deepak Nitrite and Alkyl Amines as a part of Mojo stock. We did recommend our investors in model portfolio to buy, and it did create wealth, and we did advise exit at the right time. So reality is that 200 में से सिर्फ एक ही कंपनी बाय एंड होल्ड में पैसा बनाएगी, and it's very difficult. It's like you're finding a needle in the heck of the snow that one company. It's very difficult to find, and you need to have a really genius to figure out that one company that will create. And I'll show you some data points, which will surprise you, all of you. If you look at it, so what I've done, I've looked at only the company which are more than 500 crore market cap as of today. There will be many companies which were in 2012 having market cap more than 1,000 crore also. But today the market cap may be in few less than 500 crore, maybe in thousands of crore. And today the market cap. So this company that I've taken the sample size only of those which have a survival bias. And despite that, only 1% of the company has created returns more than 60 to 70% by buy and hold. If you look at the most of the companies that you see, the highest bracket is 30.7% of the company has given 10 to 20% return. The Sensex's last 10 years has given 11.61% CAGR. In other words, the money has not been made, and only few companies can make that money. Now let me give you a classical example. 2012, let's rewind. Reliance Communication, part of ADAG Group. Who would have thought in 2012 that if you have invested 1 lakh in Reliance Communication, the value would be less than 4,000 rupees? 4,000 rupees only. There is a very famous saying, लाख का 12,000 करने का. ये तो 12,000 भी नहीं हो रहा है. JSW Ispat, part of JSW Group. 1 lakh, the value has become only 6,000 or less than 6,000. MMTC, part of PSU, 91% decline. JP Associates, part of Nifty 50, down by 90%. Reliance Power, down by 89%. Bank of India, PSU Bank, disinvestment story. क्या हुआ? 87% down. Yes Bank. That time Yes Bank was getting the best bank award. 1 lakh you invested, the value is 19,000. Vodafone Idea, part of Kumar Mangalam Birla Group, Nifty 50 company, 2012 में. The value is only 19,000 of 1 lakh. Dish TV. If you remember, cable will go out of the business. Dish TV people will use DTH, better quality reception, whatnot. And you invested. That's Dish TV. These are all data as of yesterday. Down by 79%. Financial technology, Jignesh Shah, the wizard. You invested 1 lakh. The script is down as we speak, 77%. Walkard, Mr. Khuraki wala, 1 lakh, just 23,000. Did you make money? This not that this company did not move up. They did move up. But you have been informed, buy and hold करके छोड़ देने का, पैसा बनेगा. पैसा तो बना नहीं, घर से पैसा गया. Let me give you another example. NTPC, invested by some of the very, very big AMCs in the country. 10 साल में NTPC has given you 7% absolute return. मतलब 1 लाख रुपया डाला तो उसकी वैल्यू हुई 1,07,000 rupees. Oh, sorry, 1,07,000 rupees. Thus, had you put that money in a savings also, कुछ नहीं किया था तो वो ज़्यादा पैसा बनता था. Lupin, one of the big investors, had invested in this company. Am I right? वो भी निकल गया है वो. But 1 lakh has become 1,15,000 after having patience for 10 years. Vedanta. Very recently we exited from Vedanta after locking in good profit. Only 21% return. Only 21% absolute return. Oracle, 23. Hero MotoCorp, world's largest two-wheeler. Can you imagine? 1 lakh invested 10 years back has become 1,28,000. I'm giving classical example. ITC, DLF, India's largest real estate player. 1 lakh has become 1,60,000. अरे साला बैंक पे पैसा डाला होता ना FD में तो अच्छा पैसा बनता था आपका. Tata Motors, which is now going big way in terms of electrical vehicles. ACC, Boss, Indian Oil Corporation. Look at the money you made. While the Sensex moved up by 204%, this company gave you maximum, that return was come from Tata Motors, 74%. Severely underperforming buy and hold strategy. As I told you, either they will underperform or it will destroy your wealth. So this is destruction of wealth, and this is classical case of a underperform. And I have taken very good mix of private sector, public sector, coming from various sectors also, various industries also. And look at what happened this. Paisa nahi bana. We need to understand, when I talk to some customers, investors, they say, I give a classical example. Assume that you invested 1 lakh in one company, ABC Limited, just for the understanding, in year 2000. In 2022, the value of that 1 lakh has gone to 5 lakh. And you must be thinking, Arey, I have made money. Why? Ek ka 5 lakh ho gaya. But the fact of the matter is that your CAGR is only 7.6%. So, in other words, did you make money? Or did you not lose? You did not make money, or you underperformed severely? Your inflation would have been higher than 7.6 during the same period. The value of money would have destroyed completely. But we try to believe. So what is, sometimes, what looks actually a good return actually is not a good return. अगर मैं पूछूंगा ना आपने बाय ऑन मैंने तो पैसा बनाया, but have you ever figured it out? CAGR क्या था उसका? So these are the things that you need to understand and need to educate if you really want to create wealth from this one. I will give a classical example now. GMR Infra, darling of the investors in 2006 to 2000. If you look at it, had you get out of this company from this level, of course, no one can sell at the top of the price. I do understand. But even if you realize that this story is over, and had you had guts to either book profit or loss, you would not have seen the pain of going here. Almost 14, 15 years, the price is almost at the same level. Buy and hold trade did not work. And I'm talking about buy because 2006, GMR was one of the most fenced group. Am I right? JP Associates. 50 रुपए का भाव था 2006 में. The script went to more than 300 rupees. You did not get out. Why? आपको तो buy and hold strategy करके पैसा बनाना है. What happened to this company? You lost money. PC Jeweler, very recent example, 2012 में, 2022 में. It gave you very good run. आपने profit book नहीं किया. Buy and hold strategy. क्या हुआ? Today you are losing money. Vakrangee, look at the chart. You had a very beautiful way to book profit. I'm not saying you book profit here. Had you book profit here also, you would have this. But 12 साल में, the script is lower than the value you bought it. Again, buy and hold. DHFL, this company is now delisted. बाय एंड होल्ड किया, पैसा नहीं बना. यस बैंक, मेनी ऑफ यू गॉट इन्वेस्टेड. लुक एट द चार्ट, वेरी स्मार्ट मूव. अरे आप लोगों ने यहाँ पे भी निकाला होता ना. Assume that you want to book loss. Yes, you would have. So I'm giving a live example which people can relate. Buy and hold strategy नहीं चलता है. आपको बेवकूफ़ बनाया जाता है कि buy and hold strategy करो. IndusInd Bank, Future Consumer, India's largest retailer, modern retailer. Am I right? Lupin, which I just discussed about it. You know, the fact of the life is that even the institutional investors, those who come on TV channel and basically give you gyan, even they don't have buy and hold strategy. In US, the average holding period for the institutional investors is only 1 year. In India, mutual fund is 6 to 8 months. Now don't take any of my statement at the face value. मैं बोलता हूँ आपको मत लो, मैं बोलता हूँ आपको झूठ बता रहा हूँ, मैं आपको बेवकूफ़ बना रहा हूँ, ऐसे समझ के चलो आप. Look at any mutual fund scheme of your choice. उसका 1 साल पहले का पोर्टफोलियो देखो और अभी का पोर्टफोलियो देखो. And look at how many companies are common. Whether they've retained the same companies or not. आपको पता चलेगा the portfolio has undergone change. वो बाय एंड होल्ड स्ट्रेटजी नहीं फॉलो करते, लेकिन आपको बेवकूफ़ बनाते कि बाय एंड होल्ड स्ट्रेटजी करो. क्यों? आई डोंट नो व्हाई. इट डजंट वर्क. नाउ सम ऑफ यू से वॉरेन बुफे. एम आई राइट? वॉरेन बुफे का बाय एंड होल्ड स्ट्रेटजी चलता है. ही बाय द कंपनीज एंड ही होल्ड ऑन फॉर अ लॉन्ग पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. बट हाउ मेनी कंपनीज? द 3 प्रोफेसर्स नेम जॉन ह्यूजेस, जिंग ल्यूई एंड मिंगसेन जैंग, दे डिड द स्टडी of Warren Buffett holding, कि दिस बंदा ये बाय एंड होल्ड करता है कि नहीं करता है. सो ही बेसिकली लुक एट हाउ मेनी ईयर्स फ्रॉम 1980 to 2006, 26 years. And what was their finding? Median holding of Warren Buffett is less than 1 year. 1 साल से कम है. And 30% of the company are getting sold within 6 months. और हमें तो कोको कोला याद रहेगा. बाय एंड होल्ड स्ट्रेटेजी है. I'll give you a classical example. Warren Buffett bought US airline stocks in January 2020. In May 2020, he exited completely. कितने महीने में? 4 महीने में. Another classical example. Warren Buffett bought FV, Bristol Myers Squibb and Merck. Drug companies, am I right? Very powerful companies. He acquired in 2020. He reduced the stake in 2021. 1 साल में उसने बेच दिया, रिड्यूस कर दिया. वो वॉरेन बुफे नहीं करता है बाय एंड होल्ड स्ट्रेटेजी. हिंदुस्तान के फंड मैनेजर नहीं करते हैं, इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स नहीं करते हैं, तो आप क्यों करते हो? What is it? Why don't you think you need to create wealth? And if your strategy is wrong, आपका पैसा कभी नहीं बनेगा. I give you live example of that. See, today we are living in a new world, okay, where every company has its own cycle, and if you don't get out of it at that right time, at the right point of time, you will not make money, and you will have a very long period of underperformance. Whether it's Hindustan Unilever, which is for underperforming right now, Maruti, Infosys, and hence I would suggest you, please don't follow blindly the buy and hold strategy. Yes, it does work. I'm not saying that it doesn't work, but it works 1 in 200 companies. I'm also not suggesting you to do trading also. What I'm saying, you invest in a company, as long as the story remains intact, please remain invested in that company. The moment the story undergoes change, you need to get out of that company come what may. Whatever the pedigree of that company, कोई भी उसका promoter हो, कोई भी business model हो, you should do that. You should be exit from that company. I'll give you a classical example, Reliance Industries. How many people you are aware that Reliance Industries 7 years in a row did not move? It removed in a very narrow range. 2010 में वो 529 का भाव था, 2016 में 540 का भाव था. So as I explaining you, best of the best company will underperform. Why? Because every company has its own cycle, and hence you need to understand at what price you need to get in and what price you need to get out. Buy and hold doesn't work. And now I'll give you a classical example. This data is a little dated as of 23rd June, so please and look at 5 years performance of HDFC Bank. 57.5% return versus Nifty 50 of 66.1%. पैसा बना आपका? नहीं बना, अंडर परफॉर्म किया. Maruti Suzuki, India's largest car manufacturer. In last 5 years, the returns given by absolute gain, this is 11.8% only, versus Nifty 50 moving up by 66%. Huge underperformance. Buy and hold strategy किया, पैसा टूटा. लेकिन if you understand that business had undergone, like in Maruti, they did not have SUV. SUV was the darling of the investors. Customers were buying only SUVs. The company lost market share to whom? Likes of Hyundai, likes of Tata Motors, likes of Kia, and they lost money. And that's why the company is underperforming. So that's why I said be nimble-footed. So you should understand when to get out of a company. Okay? And most of the time, your human nature is this. If the company underperforms for some time, for 4-5 years, we'll lose our patience. हमारे पास patience है ही नहीं. And then what will you get out at the wrong time of the company? Okay? So you need to remember that you need to have a temperament to have a buy and hold strategy. If you don't have, if you have a temperament of T20 and if you think I want to play 5-day match, you will be not successful only. Okay, so my request to all of you, first thing you must understand that buy and hold strategy does work. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It works only one company out of 200 companies. And that also you need to have a great temperament to hold on to that company to create wealth. Why? Because that even that 10 years period, that company may underperform for a significant period of time. But if you don't have the temperament, you would end up losing money on that. Now, I'm giving a simple test for you, all of you. These are the companies which created the best wealth from 2010 to 2012 to 2022. Be frank and tell me how many of you invested this company in 2012 and you continue to hold. Unfortunately, Jason doesn't have the survey, or that I would have done a poll and I would have found out less than 5% of the company would have, 5% of the investors would have done that. One more thing, if you look at in this, which company created this wealth? Despite they have going up 75% CAGR, look at the market caps, 958 crore only. The highest market cap is with Minda Industries, 27,000 crore. So after giving 10 years, every year 56, its market cap after this super duper fund is only 27,000 crore. And that makes me believe very clearly the wealth creation happens not mainly from the large cap. Normally it happens with the mid and small cap, which are mid and small cap now, and they could be a big cap or large cap going forward by creating that kind of a wealth. Remember, equity market is a great teacher. Unfortunately, we don't want to learn that. We want to close our eyes and we do not want to learn. We have become rigid. हमारा जो सोचने का तरीका है ना has become rigid. And that due to that, we don't want to unlearn very quickly. And that this unlearning, because of our bias, becomes our biggest impediment in our wealth creating story. It becomes our enemy. Am I right? So, from today onwards, you will remove that bias of buy and hold. You will change your strategy with the changing market time, changing market scenario. Remain nimble-footed. Even if you get out of a company with a loss, please do that. But do not ever live in that hope that ek din Karan Arjun aayenge, my price will go above my purchase price. That's not going to happen. Okay? If you remember, Previously, we used to change our fan or refrigerator or air conditioner maybe once in 10 years or 15 years. Now, we don't wait so long, right? We do change very fast. Same way, you need to change your view on company very fast based on the market dynamics. And if you don't do that, I'm afraid your portfolio, you can see, would have underperformed. Let me give one classical quote before we open the floor from Ian Castle. He said, don't rely on yesterday's analysis. Companies are always evolving in a good or bad ways. And if you keep thinking, अच्छा ये खराब ही है, then you will follow buy and hold strategy. Know what you own at all times. Keep nimble-footed, keep analyzing. And if the business scenario has undergone change, please move out of that company, create wealth. That's what my request. We have few hours left for our special anniversary offer. Only at 14,999, you are getting 2 years and 3 months. Only at 14,999, which works out to less than 550 rupees per month, less than 20 rupees per day. Please remember, Market Mojo does not believe in buy and hold strategy. We remain always nimble-footed, and that's one of the reasons Market Mojo has been able to create wealth for the investors over a medium to long term. So if you want, I'll request my colleague Jason to please drop the link so that you can become a part of Markets Mojo family. With this, let's open the floor for question answer. Over to you, Jason. Jason, my request to you, please pick up questions relating to today's topic, and if time permits, then we will go stock specific.
Okay, I made a note of that. Also, a few of the investors are also asking the link for the 19 with model portfolio optimizer. If you don't mind, can I also flash that?
Please do that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll move on this first question by Mr. Payaz. I think after your presentation, he's asking now what exactly is the solution points instead of the buy and hold strategy we should adopt?
As long as the fundamental story of that company remains same, please continue to hold. The moment fundamental story undergoes change, please move out of that company, whether it's an HDFC Bank, HDFC, ITC, Reliance, Castrol, please move out. Hindustan Unilever. शादी नहीं करने का. So that's why I want to take again this. Know what you own at all times. The problem happens is that we apply yesterday's analysis today and think this analysis will continue to apply. That doesn't work. Isn't it? So know what you own at all times. It's a very powerful statement. And remember, and that's exactly what Markets Mojo does.
Okay, moving on to this next question by Raj, and I think it's a really excellent one. He says, does the recency bias get reflected in the IP since it's also based on the analysis of past data?
No. The way our IP works, that we look at various other factors of the what we call in terms of technicals, recent quarterly financial performance, and so on and so forth. And hence, it's not a function of only we don't have the recency bias issue. Had that been the case, Markets Mojo would not have been able to create wealth for the investors. Am I right? We did create a lot of wealth for the investors in last 6-7 years, and purely based on our IP.
Okay, moving on. I'll pick this one question by Mr. Frank. He says, I want your comment on my following buy and hold. I had invested 10,000 in 1985 in the following stocks: Reliance, Hero MotoCorp, Hindustan Unilever, still holding the same with a market value of 1.5 crore. What's your opinion?
So what is the value you had put it? Can you help me understand that? I'll tell you what is the CAGR you have.
No, he said he had invested 10,000.
Okay, sir. I assume that what data you gave me is right, and I'm looking at, as I speak to you, I'm just putting in my Excel sheet. And how many years, sir?
Since 1985.
So, वो कितना साल हुआ, Jason? 15 plus 37.
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay, let's see what is an IRR you made, sir. Sir, your IRR on the portfolio is only 15%. 15.2% to be very precise. Okay? And now, we are making a very classical mistake. The companies that created wealth in the past, you continue to believe they will create wealth going forward, not necessarily. Am I right? So remain, to your IRR is only 15.2%. It would be in line with the overall market because 1985 mein, I believe even the Sensex would have been the same. So I think you not outperform the. So sometimes, we tend to believe that we are doing good, but we are not doing good. Of course, 15.2% is not a bad return, I must tell you that.
Okay, I'll move on to this next question. It's actually by Mr. Rahul Kumar. He says, you also, the investment you made of V8 Tech Wabag is also a myth of buy and hold. You're also not moving on. So what seems sell becomes hold and buy under Markets Mojo as well.
No, sorry, come again.
He says your investment with V8 Tech Wabag is also a myth of buy and hold. You have also not moved on from that stock.
No. See, as I told you, it's not reasons to get exit. Is the business model has undergone change, or the demand for the company's business has undergone change? If the answer is no, you need not.
Okay, I'll move on to this next question. This is by Mr. Raman. He says, what parameters should be used to decide when to let go of a company and when to re-enter?
What parameters? Sir, I think the business model. I think, as I said, is a business model and the change in the management. So remember, what I've realized always, if I have to give importance to any company, I will always first give preference to the management quality. Because what I've observed that even if the business is good, even some of the best, if the management is not good, that business will not create wealth. I'll give you a classical example. Many cement players created wealth. At the same time, many cement players destructed wealth. The industry is the same. But the difference between the one who created wealth and one who did not create it is the quality of the management. And I always believe if the good management is there, they will create wealth even after the bad industry. And if the management is poor, they will not able to create wealth even in the good industry. So that's a simple parameter. And second thing, the changing dynamics of the business environment. If the business we are in is no longer the future of the industry, that can be a classical example. And hear me very carefully. 10 years down the line, IC engines will become redundant. So many of these so-called great auto companies, like classical example, Hindustan Motors and Premier Padmini. I don't know how many. Jason, do you remember Hindustan Motors and Premier Padmini, Ambassador car and this?
Yeah, Hindustan Motors, yes, but not the other one.
Other one, okay, okay. Now Hindustan Motor Ambassador car, they did not change with the changing time. Am I right? Maruti came out with the car which was much superior and they lost the business and they are today out of the business. And it was a monopoly business. There was a waiting list. Something similar is going to happen because of electrical vehicle. Those who are having an IC engine, their business will go out of the business. So is the case with auto ancillary companies, which we are not going to change with the changing time. I must tell you again, not everyone is going to be successful in the EV vehicles, even from the incumbent player. And they will be in the history books. So respect the change in the business industry. And that I give you Adlabs as a classical example in beginning of the webinar. It's very simple change. The digital screening came in and completely changed the demand for the film processing. Am I right? And that's what happens. So you need to understand the two things, management, again repeat, and the change in the industry scenario. And once that happens, that business will be, I'll give you a classical example. Many years back, there was a company called Qualcomm Vision. I don't know how many people remember that. They used to manufacture black and white TV. And I happened to be in one of the fund managers who used to advise the FII at that point of time. And I'm talking about this story of somewhere about 97, 98 kind of stuff. If my, or maybe 97, 98, no, not 97, 98, sorry. It must be 2004, 2005, or those, yeah, maybe 2002, 2003 kind of stuff. I happened to visit his house. He used to operate from one of the flats in Andheri. And of course, he's still active. He's a very reputed name. I don't want to name him. It doesn't. And they were advising this Qualcomm Vision. I just said, "Yaar, uska future kya hai?" He said, "Yaar, even though the color TV is very popular in urban, in rural India, people do watch black and white TV only. And I said, yes, we are right. Today the price difference is there between color and black and white, little higher. But it's not going to be the case. And I think eventually everyone, so this business has no future. He did not agree with me. And rest is history. So remember the change, like BlackBerry, the Research in Motion, a company based out of Canada, they went out of the business. Why? They did not change with the touch phone. Apple came and completely swept the business. Nokia, connecting people, very powerful brand. No one wants to buy Nokia mobile phones now. So remember, change in business is a very, very, and the business which is not nimble-footed, they will go out of business very fast. So these are the two things I would always look at it.
Okay, this question by Mr. Ronak, I think you've covered it in your slides, but I'll just repeat it again. There are lots of quotes of Warren Buffett display or told by Mojo team on the platform, but the strategy is totally different from Warren Buffett. Any reason why?
Sir, where are we doing strategy different from Warren Buffett? खुद नहीं करता है buy and hold, तो where is the difference? Where is the challenge you are saying? I need to understand, sir. Where is the Warren Buffett? When did the Warren Buffett basically said that you need to buy and hold? I'll give you a classical example of that. Just look at, let me reset my slide again of Warren Buffett. 1 second, let me search my... Yes, if you look at this slide, is it visible? His median holding is only less than 1 year. अरे वो खुद buy and hold नहीं करता है. Of course, he does couple of companies. So that's what I'm saying. As long as your reason to hold that company does not undergo change, you should continue to hold that company. But the moment the business and environment undergoes change, you need to get out of that company. वो Warren Buffett हो, राकेश झुनझुनवाला हो, दूसरा, you know that Rakesh Jhunjhunwala was having more than 10% stake in Lupin. I think he is less than 1% now because it doesn't get featured in his shareholding pattern.
Okay, I'll pick this question by Sheena Arun. What's your view on Asian Paints, Pidilite and even HDFC Bank over 10 years? They have created wealth for investors. Why did you not include these companies in your analysis? Even the analysis should be a CAGR from 10 years point of view. You have stated that market return is all about non-linear returns. So what is wrong in investing in good quality companies with significant competitive strength, good return ratios, as it is only the long-term return that matters?
No, I agree with you. But the question that I'm asking is today is this. That's why I'm called recency bias. Why? Because Asian Paints created wealth in last 10 years. Pidilite created wealth in last 10 years. HDFC Bank created wealth in last 10 years. Am I right? That's why you're saying. The question that you need to be asking, should I invest in the same company? Because we make an assumption. What wealth this company created in the past, they will continue doing going forward. That doesn't happen. That's what my worry is. You can jot down and you can help me account for 2032. 29 June 2032, I'll be in front of you and let's see what happens to Asian Paints, what happened to Pidilite, what happened to HDFC Bank. Did they outperform? Did they underperform? There is a high probability they will underperform. But we will not believe. Why? We will not believe. See, something similar happened when I wrote a piece on 2012 on ITC, or 2011, sorry, that IT is going to underperform going forward. People did not believe me. Why? Because it's created a lot of wealth from 2001 to 2011. People refused to believe. They called me mad. And some of you may be calling me now also. That ye pagal ho gaya aadmi. But the rest is history. I am giving classical example, JMM Fodler. I give you a classical example, Symphony. Did they create wealth? Answer is no. So we get carried away. Last 10 साल में पैसा बना तो we बनाएगा आगे जाके. Not necessarily. They will not. Because competition will come in, technology will come in. You know what happens. And they may not be able to create that wealth.
Okay, and I think you've also spoken about mutual funds. Mr. Pankaj has this question. I am continuing to invest in mutual funds. Should I book profits in mutual funds now?
I have always, and I'm a strong believer, and if you remember when we launched mutual fund section on our website also, I said I don't put a single rupee in mutual fund. Why? Because they are terribly underperformer. They don't create wealth. And if they don't create wealth, why should I put my money with them? So I would suggest you please move out from, provided you take help of another professional advisor like Markets Mojo. If we have a beautiful product called Mojo Infinite, if you wish to, you can come there. But if you are going to do on your own versus mutual fund, then I will prefer mutual fund. Why? Because at least they will give you less than what the benchmark is. But in your case, if you are doing on your own, I'm afraid your return would be substantially lower than the benchmark. So between your personal and mutual fund is preferable. But between mutual fund and Mojo Infinity, definitely Mojo Infinity is preferable.
Okay, I'll pick this one question by Venkata. He says, my grandfather invested in Shriram Transport in the year 2000 and bought it around 10 rupees. Today it's around 1,200. What's your comment on buy and hold for this particular stock?
See, again, so for every one Shriram Transport, I don't know whether what we are saying, but every Shriram Transport, there is a case of Pyramid Saimira, there is a case of Jet Airways, there is a case of Suzlon, there is a case of Manpasan Beverages, Vakrangee, and so on and so forth. As I told you, I'm not saying buy and hold doesn't work. It works 1 in 200 companies. And you must know which company it has worked. And then second thing, we assume what worked in the past will work in the future also. It doesn't happen, sir, in real life.
Okay, I'll move on to this next particular question. This is by Mr. Pradeep. He's asked, are there any recent IPO stocks that have potential to become Mojo stocks according to you?
Right now, though, our IP has to run on this, and they need to come because we have a we need quality, we need recent quarterly financial performance, we need technical enough data to run the technical dots. So, based on merit, if they come, our investment committee will look into that and will decide whether this company deserves to be part of the Mojo stock in terms of model portfolio. Right now, it's very difficult to say which company will be able to make it. Very difficult to say.
Okay. Also, I picked up a question about one of the investors where you had asked, provided the IRR calculation. He said, I think you should also consider dividends in this calculation. What do you think about that?
You should consider, definitely, I agree with you. But sir, it's not going to change your total IRR based on that. You put that in Excel sheet and you'll look at yourself. It's not. So, I'm asking the same question. You had a choice. So it was Shriram Transport Finance, am I right, Jason? Okay, I'll explain you what you need to do. Same company, if you had done proper study, and if you've done that, the same company could have made more money for you. How am I explaining you that? What we should do basically, you invested in that company, Shriram Transport Finance. I'm not getting, 1 second.
No, this is regarding the other question of the 30.
No, Jason, 1 second. I'm just searching for a company, but unfortunately, on the site, I'm not getting a window for searching the name of the company only, Jason. Oh, it's not coming. I don't know why. Okay, let's move on because, sorry, I wanted to show you something, but unfortunately, Jason, it takes me to the webinar page only. I think we need to do that something. Someone who comes during market hour, during webinar is not able to go to the company page, company search page. I think we need to do that. Now, let's look at Shriram Transport Finance. Okay, I'll just come to that. Someone asked me, Shriram Transport Finance, Shriram Transport Finance underperformed in last 5 years. The return is only 23%, while the Nifty 50 is up by 71%. Same company, Shriram Transport Finance underperformed for 10 years period also. 131% return of Shriram Transport Finance versus Sensex return of 204%. So should you feel happy or should you feel sad now? You had a good chance to book profit, use that profit in some other company, your return would have been much higher than what making you happy today. But you believed in buy and hold strategy, and that's why you see the difference. Yeah, go ahead, Jason.
Okay, I'll pick this next question. Actually, it's a suggestion by Mr. Rajiv. He says, hi Sunil, in your line of approach of educating us investors, can I request you to conduct a webinar on the topic like analyzing financial statements, balance sheet, P&L accounts, cash flow of a company? I think it would be really useful for us. Thanks.
Thanks a lot for your suggestion, sir. See, to be very frank with you, it becomes more educative, and I'm not very sure how many investors like you would be interested in doing that, because today people want to have ready-made, and Marcus Mojo does everything a human being cannot do it. Why? Because we do 30 million data points on a daily basis. We look at 550 parameters, which is not practically humanly possible for someone to do it. And we can do this kind of, because the today machine does so many analysis that human can't do it. So for you, we are giving you ready-made all the analysis, and with the score, buy, hold and sell. If that is so, why do you want to? So when you go to a restaurant, and restaurant is serving you the food live and fresh, why do you want to cook on your own? So I think we can do it, but I'm afraid not more than 10 people will come and attend this webinar. So, and if that's the thing, it may not be really. In fact, I would have done a survey and find out how many people are interested. Unfortunately, that feature is not available, hence I will not be able to do it. But that's the thing. So Rajiv, sorry, I will not be able to accept yours unless more and more people write to us. Jason, just see how many people are writing to you. We should do something like this.
Okay. I'll move on to the next set of questions. This is by Bonnie. He says, in one of your webinars, you had mentioned that the market will reach 14,000 also. Does this hold true even now?
I can't recollect, son. Jason, do you remember I'm making a prediction of 14,000?
No.
What I would have said is this, okay? In case if the market goes below 15,000, it's not going to sustain at level, it will bounce back very strongly. My prediction always has been 15,000 to 15,500, sir. I never said 14,000. Sir, someone else might have made a prediction and you must be attributing to me.
Okay, also I can see a number of investors asking if the offers could be extended for a few more days. Mr. Sunil, could you comment on that?
No, sir. Last few hours are there. We are closing our offer. There is no way we can do that. Price will go up. And number one, not only the price will go up, you will not get additional 3 months which you are getting right now. So it's not possible. It's not going to happen, sir. Sorry. Please, with folded hands, I have to say no.
Okay, this next question by Mr. Avijit says, there is no entry of Mojo stocks for the last 15 days. Any particular reason behind this? I think this is perhaps the best time to hunt for quality shares.
So, sir, we do have Mojo stocks. We do have model program. You are right. It's the best time to hunt. But you pick and choose. It's not that there are no zero Mojo stock. There are almost 25, 26 Mojo stocks are available. You can pick and choose how many stocks you need to create portfolio. 10, 12, 15. That many number of stocks are anyway there. Mojo stocks are available. But you are right. We have not added any Mojo stocks in the recent past. But because it's not coming, based on our IP, the company should come as a Mojo stock. It's not coming. That's why it's not coming in.
Okay, this question by Madhav. If I am to sell the multi-baggers in my personal portfolio which are more than 300 to 450% gain, even as of today, where do I switch to the investments? Can Mojo stocks section help me here?
Of course, it will help you. So, sir, we don't believe in buy and hold strategy. One is the creating wealth and then the preserving the wealth. Am I right? Somewhere we don't know how to preserve the wealth. Okay, so if you have done that, you have done very well. Please come to Markets Mojo, create model portfolio. If you want better strategy, come to Mojo Infinity and put that money to multiply your wealth. That's what your objective should be. Never get contented with what is there. Try to multiply your wealth. That's the way you should be looking at it.
Okay, on the other side, I can see a lot of comments coming in of investors interested in the financial statements event, if you could have it. I'll also make a particular... I'll make a note of this.
Yeah.
Moving on, this question by Mr. Rao. He says, is the IP purely forward-looking? On what basis one should buy a particular stock?
So our IP look at 550 parameters of a company, and based on these 550 parameters, our IP will suggest whether this company is going to outperform or not. So that's what it does. But having said that, we don't take into consideration any financial predictions given by the management or Bloomberg consensus.
Okay, moving on, this question by Mr. Venkata. He says, does your IP look for financial frauds? Let's say companies like Lloyd Electric, Satyam Computers, etc.
No, so our IP does look at, so the way our IPs work basically, where we look at a lot of data, various parameters combinations, okay? And we have put a lot of checks and balances. So there are many companies which are not good will not come in this. Whether it was Satyam, so because at that point of time Satyam episode happened, we were not live. We were not, the site was not there. Am I right? So it's very difficult for us to suggest you okay, whether it was there or not. But our system is able to find out. Oh, let's not only that. Over and above that, we do have an investment committee, and those investment committee do look at the companies where we don't have a comfort level. Very classical example has been BCG, Brightcom, and many of you were asking this question somewhere in October, November, should we buy? And if you remember at that point of time, we said our investment committee did not approve because we are not comfortable with that company, and hence we rejected that company. So we do that. So yes, our system is able to capture. For some reason, if it doesn't get filtered out in the system, we do have an investment committee which would basically go through in great detail to understand whether this company deserves to be the part of Mojo stock and in turn model portfolio or not. So yes, we do have that kind of checks and balances.
Okay, Mr. Sunil, that's it with the Q&A session for today.
So just let me tell you, reiterate that very few hours are there for our special 7th anniversary offer to wind down. Please avail this offer immediately, 14,999 for 27 months. It's a very low price, and you are paying peanuts to get this very highly valued service, and start creating wealth through Markets Mojo service. So with this, again, I'll request my colleague Jason to please drop the link. And once again, thanks a lot everyone taking time out and attending this webinar. Thanks a lot, Jason, for hosting this webinar. Over to you, my dear friend.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Sunil, and thanks a lot for attending this event. We have an exclusive demo session tomorrow by our founder and CEO, Dr. Mohit Batra. A lot of you all have asked Mohit to have a demo like we used to have it previously. So we have already sent you some invites for the same. Looking forward to seeing you all come for the event tomorrow as well. Goodbye and have a great evening. Thank you so much.